Hey guys, Jay Cook here. It's Monday at exactly 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I want to talk about a couple of things. I see a lot of people talking about like all the Haarp stuff and all the Haarp antenna arrays and all the stuff that's on land, and yet I haven't heard too much about the buoys that they have planted all over the globe. And this is just one per se, and it's from the Stanford VLF group. And I'm going to read you some of this stuff, and you're going to get more of an idea of what they do and what their goal is. The Stanford University VLF group investigates the Earth's electrical environment, its upper atmosphere, lightning discharges, radiation belts, and the ionized regions of the upper atmosphere known as the ionosphere and magnetosphere. Much of our work involves the use of very low frequency VLF electromagnetic waves, which are generated by lightning discharges, by man-made transmitters, and by energetic radiation belt electrons. They investigate the generation of these waves and the manner in which they propagate in and scatter from various regions of the upper atmosphere. We use VLF waves as diagnostic tools to investigate physical processes in the Earth's plasma environment. Under the direction of Professor Umran, the VLF group carries out extensive observational programs at multiple sites around the world and on satellites. In addition, extensive theoretical modeling and interpretation work is carried out on quantitative modeling of high-altitude optical emissions known as sprites, blue jets, and elves. On modeling the propagation and scattering of electronic waves or electromagnetic waves in the Earth's ionosphere wavegate, and on other related electromagnetic wave and plasma physics problems. Now I want to show you some pictures that they've got to show you what they're doing. See if I can get in here really close. As you can see, here it shows one of the antennas that sends out the signal, and this is what they're doing. They're shooting it up into the ionosphere with the positive and negatively charged electrons and all those other good things. Now here's all of the land-based antenna, and you can see they're triangular in shape, and they're all going to one point, basically helping it to like a guidance system and directing it to one single position, which is kind of ironic when they're using this here, which means they can pinpoint any location or any target in the world with these buoys. And here's that one cone again that I've seen on many different videos that people have been putting out, like Dutch Sense and Patriotic Space. They're doing a damn good job at getting this stuff out there and talking about it so people can actually understand it. And I'm just adding to what they're talking about, because I haven't heard them yet say anything about the buoys that they've got placed all over the ocean. And there's one in particular that came to my attention here recently. And this shows you them sending out the signal up into the ionosphere, just like that. Now, don't these look familiar? When you see all of the radar rings, looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? And along with all these. And this right here is one of their buoys. This is what the buoy looks like. That's out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. And they're quite large, actually. Let's see if I can find The superstructure of our buoy will mount an 8-foot diameter, 9.5-foot tall fiberglass housing on the buoy. That's a pretty big buoy. And it's got a set of 4 VLF antennas to help reduce sea ice buildup on the superstructure. And this is what concerns me right here. Everybody knows about the earthquake in New Zealand. Well, nobody's said anything about this one specific buoy and where it's at. And I was doing some research and found this website here, and I'll put all the links below so you can go and see it. And right here, it tells you exactly where it's at. The buoy will remain under the Haarp magnetic conjugate point 56.19 degrees south, 173.80 degrees east. This spot is 280 nautical miles from the nearest land, the uninhabited Campbell Islands, and about 600 nautical miles from New Zealand. New Zealand, guys. It's right off the coast of New Zealand, way out there in the middle of nowhere. They've got one of these buoys, and this is just one that I've found so far. And I know there's dozens more, and I'm trying to find and research and see if I can find out where they're at. But this is what I found so far. And this here is Haarp one-hop experiment. Pretty interesting, isn't it? On the South Pacific buoy. There's Haarp again. This 3-year program will study radio waves generated by the Haarp transmitter in Alaska. So they're generating all of these waves right from Alaska. We expect some waves to be ducted along the Earth's magnetic field lines, propagating out beyond 5 times the Earth's radius and returning to Earth at a remote location in the South Pacific Ocean. The waves will propagate through several important physical layers beyond the Earth's atmosphere by operating a receiver at the magnetic conjunction point, or conjugate point, where the waves are most likely to return to Earth. We developed significant scientific understanding of those layers and processes that affect them. Unfortunately, the Haarp conjugate point falls halfway between New Zealand and Antarctica above the temperatures ocean, 5,400 meters deep. This is kind of interesting, guys. The VLF radio receiver in such an environment and meeting our goal of successful unattended operations for 2 years, which means they don't have to do anything for this buoy. They leave it out in the middle of nowhere, and they can send and receive any kind of signal they want. They can even direct it to a point, which is pretty scary. And this here is another thing that I found. One-hop ELF, VLF measurements at the Haarp conjugate point buoy feasibility study. And this was in 2003. Very low frequency group at Stanford University has made many important discoveries about the Earth, ionosphere, magnetosphere, and the interactions between them. Research has focused both on physical nature of these regions and how to effectively propagate radio waves through them. In continuation of this important effort, the group is uniquely positioned to conduct experiments in the conjunction with the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, transmitter in Alaska. This transmitter can operate as a modulated ionospheric heater, causing ELF, VLF waves to develop high above the site. Some of these waves are ducted and propagated along the magnetic field lines of the Earth. They return to Earth along with other possible triggered effects at the conjunction point. The Haarp's point is 56.19 south, 173.80 east. That's where they've got this thing, guys, at one of their conjunction points. That tells you right there they've got all these kinds of buoys out everywhere, and they can send and receive signals to them. It's just one more thing to add to the plate. So I'm going to try to keep looking and find more of these buoys for you guys as much as I can. This is just one I found off the coast of New Zealand. And that's just funny because that's where they had that massive earthquake there in Christchurch. And this right here shows where the buoy is and how the wave circles are propagating out from that one point. And each circle are separated by 100 kilometers or more. Each circle. That's a huge wave. That's a lot of force they can create with this. And just think if they can focus this on one point, how massive it would be. Think of all the earthquakes that are happening. Just, it's unreal. And in this next video, because I'm running short on time, I can only do 15 minutes here. I've got some more pictures and things for this to show you actual, like, targeting and what they're doing with the nice little Haarp facility that they've got. But take care, guys. God bless, and be safe.